Hello, my friend. Welcome to Do Not Talk. Talking about two things you're never supposed to talk about: politics and religion. All right, let's do it. I'm Charlie Simons, and I've been doing this for 2.5 years now. After a long career in radio and television for big networks, ABC, CBS, Clear Channel, which is now iHeartRadio, which at the time was the largest radio station owning company in the world. That's where I come from. That's my side of things. I have a long career in the media. And now, for years, actually, I've been pointing out exactly how wicked the media is and how in the left pocket it absolutely is. How they're doing the devil's work just as quickly as possible, for his time is short, because most of them are absolutely all on board with him. That's how bad it is. And I've been speaking out against it for so long. People in my own business hate me and love to see me brought down. I'm being real honest. I've been the target of attacks, slings, and arrows that most people. I can't say that you would fold. I would hope that you wouldn't, but a lot of people probably would have. My own friends in the business who think like I do and just like, no, shut up, don't say anything. Don't I can't even associate with them. I can't even talk about being a Christian. If I was working with any Christians until I got into Christian radio, if I was working with any Christians, they knew I was because I talked about it, but they never did. The social media now aspect of things, where so much of us are getting our information, is rife with corruption and pollution and trash, as you know, but also trying to shut us all up and shut us down. And there's a song I recently uh, became familiar with through my friend Greg Hanna. Told me about. He's actually sent me the video, and I'm watching this, and I was amazed. I'm like, this is it. This is what I've been talking about most of my career. This is what I've been facing. This is how bad it is and how bad it has become and how fed up I am with it. And I know there are other people like me done with it. So I'm going to show you every single show I've been doing. This is the fourth show now. And my guest, by the way, is somebody I don't even know, Gil Mazza. I don't know this guy. I don't know what he does. I just know he's real involved with Take Back Our Border. Or Take Our Border Back. That's it. TOBB. Take Our Border Back. I know he's real involved with that. And so am I. Because that has to end. It should have ended a long time ago, but we just don't even know how bad it is because the media is not telling you. This media right here, and you're watching right now live on Facebook or YouTube, I'm telling you, they're going to jack with it. They're going to screw with it. They're going to screw up the picture, the video. They're going to screw up the sound. If you go to my Rumble channel, though, you'll be able to see it as is. Rumble.com/do not talk. Rumble.com/do not talk. To see 5 Times August. That's the name of this group. And the song is Liars, Cheats, and Crooks. Roll it. They are really jacking with it. They are really messing with it. Tell you what, I'm going to start again. I'm going to start it again. Stand by. Let me bring this up for you. This is very important. Look it up for yourself on YouTube, on Venmo, on Rumble. The group is called 5 Times August. And the song is called Liars, Cheats, and Crooks. Okay, let's try it again.
drug. You wanna smoke while you get more that thing. You don't get to tell me what to think and what to do. No, you don't get to tell me what is true. You're just liars and drugs change the rules. So I don't believe a single word you say. You're all liars, fakes and cons. Watch out and when you gone. So don't believe this. I could get away. Want us to trick, want us to numb, want us scared, and want us to want us, you want us start in every way. You want our minds, you want our time, you want us framed up in your crimes. Oh, you know time to go. You're taking names. 'Cause you don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. No, you tell us what is true. You're just like it's in change the rules and you burn them so we don't believe us the words you say. You're all liars and cons. Punch out we want you gone. So don't believe it's time to get away. 'Cause you say la 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 oh la 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 oh you lie. You don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. You don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. You don't get to tell us what to think and what to do. 'Cause you're just liars, cheats, crook, change the rules and you burn the books, and so we don't believe a single word you say. You're all liars, fakes and punch out and we want you gone. So don't believe it's time to get away. 'Cause we say la 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 all you lies. La 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 all your lies. You're just liars, cheats and just burn the books, and so we don't believe a single word you say. 'Cause you're all liars, fakes and punch out and we want you gone. So don't believe it's time to get away.
You know why I know that the fact you can't watch that right now, you were trying to watch it and it was all glitchy and sped up and messing around with the video and so on YouTube and Facebook where I'm live at this time, has nothing to do with licensing and fees. Nothing. Because if you look up 5 times August on rumble.com, you can watch all their videos. You can watch them on YouTube, you can watch them on Venmo, but you can't share them. But you can on Rumble. That's how I got that copy right there. Same with my show, rumble.com/do not talk. You can see every show without them taking it down, deleting it, jacking with it, messing around. That tells you everything you need to know about social media and where their loyalties lie and whose side they are on, which is the devil's. They're doing his work just as quickly as possible, for his time is short. Let's get Gil Mazza into the mix here. I want to meet him and get to know him. My friend Kim Yater from Take Our Border Back told me about him. And they said, Charlie, You're going to get along great with this guy. Let's find out. Coming up next on Do Not Talk. Hit it.
Yep, here he comes. Riding his trusted steed through the Sierra foothills as he brings you the news. He calls himself
Charlie!
What you doing, Charlie?
Sorry, Charlie.
Hi, Charlie. There you are. Look how cute you are. Yeah.
Hey, Charlie. What's with the dark glasses?
And now, here he is, a man of God, living in a world of Disney.
Ow, Charlie!
Charlie Simons.
Charlie bit me.
Yeah, buddy. Venmo.com is how you can help this show grow and stay on the air. Venmo.com/do not talk. Venmo.com/do not talk. You can, whatever you can give to help support this show would be a tremendous blessing and greatly appreciated. And I thank the Lord for this possibility to bring people to you who normally never have any media pay them any attention whatsoever. The last thing they want is for you to hear from people like my guest today, Gil Mazza. Front and center. What's up, my friend? How are you, buddy?
Hey, Charlie, how's it going?
It's going extremely well. Thank you. I'm greatly blessed and highly favored. And how are you doing?
Well, I want to start out with a disclaimer that if this goes, horribly wrong, we definitely can blame Kim for that.
Kim Yater, take our border back. What'd you think of that song, Liars, Cheats, and Crooks?
Well, it came glitchy, but I was able to read the words, and man, it's right on point. It's right on point. And I'm very grateful to Kim for all these opportunities, especially for organizing the way she does. Take Our Borders Back is a quality program, right? She doesn't do anything halfway. And I'm very proud to be associated with her. And, she, like you said, you did invite me on here sight unseen. So that might be partly your fault, too, when it's all said and done. But I'm excited to be here, and I'm excited to talk to you about right now the issues that are affecting this country in ways that people don't even realize right now.
I've had several Take Our Border Back folks on the air, Mike Grant, Jonathan Alexander, Townsend Alexander, I forget the order. Of course, Scotty Sachs, who I just love, and Kim Yater, and now you. I was part of that convoy that started in SoCal down there at the border south of San Diego. I was there for that. And I learned firsthand as I'm trying to go live to bring the whole program to everyone. It was counting down 5, 4, 3, and boom, everything went away.
Mm-hmm.
So I set it all back up again real quick. I'm going to be late, but I got to get it going. 5, 4, boom, gone.
Yeah,
that kept happening. And then I was part of that convoy from SoCal to Arizona. I was involved in that and there for that event that night, right there at the border in Arizona. Same thing kept happening. I'm like, this is not an accident.
Yeah. Oh, no. And right on cue, just before the election, what's happening? We're starting to get all our posts censored. And not only that, by the way, but I'm starting to see that they're going back week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks back and censoring those posts. So I'm getting notifications saying back in so-and-so date, you posted this. And now that's being fact checked, right, by their basement dwelling knuckle draggers out there that's still living in the garage out, next to their mom's house that are fact checking all of us for some reason.
Right. The beta males and the alpha females, the fact checking army. What's your involvement in all this? How did you get so involved? What's your background? What do you bring to this mix?
Well, I'm kind of a segment of society's worst nightmare because I'm a law enforcement officer and I'm a licensed and ordained minister. So I have put in 25 years in the United States Border Patrol. I just retired 3 years ago. And my plan was to, I started an online business. I was going to deal with a lot of the history and heritage and legacy of the Border Patrol and just kind of share jokes and nonsense, little shenanigans along the way. But I woke up one day, Charlie, and I started getting messages from across the country. And I'm getting messages from all over the sectors. And they're saying to me, oh, by the way, Gil, we just shut down Del Rio sector to process. I'm thinking to myself, you shut down the sector? That can't be right. Oh, no, no. Everybody is processing. The border is wide open. Then I get messages El Paso sector closed for processing, Tucson sector closed for processing, San Diego sector. Now you have literally 80% of the southern border, Charlie, unmanned and unsecured at any given time. And we're in day 1,297 of this corrupt and putrid administration. I don't know whether to call it the Biden administration or the Kamala administration, because that guy, neither one is in charge ultimately.
Call it the
Right.
Obama administration. That's what I call it.
But I think it goes farther than that. I think we ought to call it the UN administration, the WHO administration, because they're following their playbook literally 100%. So I wake up and I'm getting these messages. Now I feel obligated to use my social media platform to start putting the word out. And I'm talking about straight from the field, raw, unfiltered, not filtered for NBC, not filtered for CBS, for nobody. It's just, this is what's happening. They're shutting down our borders. At one point, Del Rio sector, and this is back in the beginning, right? Because people think all of a sudden now it's a crisis. No, it's been happening for 3 straight years. But they were watching illegals come in, and they don't have the manpower to even to go get them. Right now, close to 55% of the people reporting to those NGO cartels that are furthering everybody into the country, they're the last leg of the journey for the cartels, are dealing with people that haven't even seen the border patrol, that haven't even been encountered. So whatever numbers you think you're getting from DHS, CBP, right? You can double, triple, quadruple those numbers easily in gotaways, in people that never even bothered to encounter the patrol. The encounter, the port of entry, any official, right? They're in this country completely sight unseen, but they're benefiting from taxpayer dollars in every aspect of society when it comes to, first of all, when they get here, they're getting their transportation, their whatever dream destination they want to go to, health, schooling, stipends, $1,400. If it's a father and wife with 2 kids, it's $2,800. They're dealing, and once they get to where they're going, they're catered to in such a way that I'm starting to realize, Charlie, that our elected officials are starting to see that illegal aliens are going to be their political future.
You're right. And they're voting. In California, they're voting in massive numbers because of Jerry Brown with his motor voter crap. When he first made it legal for illegals to drive, I was like, why? That makes no sense. Where are my own fellow Republicans currently holding office talking about this? Why aren't they fighting against this? Why aren't they saying something? No. And then the motor voter. Oh, by the way, if you get your driver's license, you can get registered to vote. Except you illegals, don't you do it. But, oh, by the way, we're not going to say anything if you do. This is happening in massive numbers. I don't know in my lifetime if we're ever going to see another Republican governor in this state again. And I don't know how we get out of this, my friend. I don't know how we back out of this catastrophe as a sanctuary state. And then in the sanctuary state, we have sanctuary cities. What the hell is going on?
And that's something that boggles the mind, right? Because when an American citizen commits a crime, we have no sanctuary city to run to. Administration and the Secretary of DHS CBP, right, who is the one guy, the top guy in charge of every single American citizen, man, woman, and child in this country. His approach to law enforcement is we release the criminals, and then once they rob, rape, murder, kill one of our citizens, then we go get them. And man, how is that working out for us? Literally day after day after day after day, we see that these criminals are taking footholds in every city in this country.
These are not dreamers. Obama started this. And it was not an accident. And he labeled them dreamers. They just want to come here for the American dream. And they're from Central and Southern California. We need to let them in. And then people like Chuck Schumer, one of the most racist things I've ever heard in my life, when he said, we need these people to, work in the fields and to work in our hotels and this kind of stuff. He said that. How racist is that? But they're not just coming in from Central and Southern California, South America, are they?
No, 170 separate different countries. But guess who invented DACA? Guess who is the originator of DACA? None other than Alejandro Mayorkas. That man has spent decades understanding. See, and people think he's incompetent. They think he's just, a fool or doesn't know what he's doing. Let me tell you, it's the whole opposite. The man is literally, unfortunately, the smartest man in the room, whether he's standing before Congress and before Republicans and before House committees, it doesn't matter. He's like a cat playing with his food because he knows he's smarter than they are, and he knows that they can't touch him. He's not afraid of them. This man has learned for decades. And through the Obama administration till today, he finally got in this administration what he wanted, an opportunity to dismantle our entire immigration system, literally from the ground up. And he has brought the entire immigration system in America to its knees. And this man was the perfect guy to do it. Biden wouldn't have known, this administration wouldn't have known how to destroy our immigration system, but this guy has been training for this moment for decades.
From California, don't forget that.
Yeah.
Why? My favorite one-letter question I will ask you: why?
Well, there's a number of reasons, right? A lot of people assume that it's literally just to kind of, pad the vote, right? Because right now, 49 states are literally handing registration forms, voter registration forms, to all the illegal aliens that they encounter in every single city. And then when that's not enough, they transport these illegals from city to city, get them to use some kind of homeless shelter or some kind of address where all these mail-in ballots are going to go in, and they're going to have teams of people just filling them out. Because they're not going to stand in line and vote at a ballot box. That's not the way it's going to work.
No.
But that's just the tip of the iceberg. To take full control, and I mean the Democratic Party, the liberals, they're going to have to do what they've done, Charlie, to every single Democrat-led city in this country, turn it into a third world disaster. So how do you do that to America? You funnel in, and I'm going to say this number, and you're not going to believe it, 50 million in just this administration alone. Okay, 50 million in this administration alone, okay, to replace Americans so that they can affect the next electoral college, right? So that they can hold power indefinitely. Right now, foreign-born individuals, both legal and illegally here, are outpacing us in the birth rate 6-1. Why do you think what happened in France happened in France? Why do you think what's happening to the UK is happening to the UK? Because they're being overrun by illegals, and they're beginning to take control.
What he's talking about, by the way, when he says what's happening in France and England, he's talking about riots going on right now that I'm not seeing on the NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt. I'm seeing everything about, look at the Olympics. Aren't they wonderful? And Snoop Dogg is our special guest.
But it's worse than that, Charlie. It's the election. This, liberal monstrosity won the last election, and that's what I'm talking about. And that's what's going to happen here. That's what's going to happen here, because eventually, patriotic Americans that still believe in America, that still believe in the Constitution, that still believe in the rule of law, are getting slowly funneled aside. Now, here's a nice little conspiracy tidbit for you, just to chew on. DHS CBP is always complaining, we just don't have enough beds to hold everybody. We don't have enough beds and have enough beds.
We need more money.
We need more money, right? So there's almost 5 million empty beds across the country right now, because we're not sending our illegals, whether they're criminals, because they have to be processed so quickly that by the time derogatory information comes along, or we even have agreements with these other countries, they're long gone, because you got to remove the 3,000 to 4,000 so you can get the 3,000 to 4,000 coming in as quickly as possible. So we're just funneling them out to the country and hope for the best. Okay, but they're not getting sent to these detention centers that are across the country. 5 million beds. Now, let me ask you this: who do you think those beds are for? If this administration gets elected again, who do you think those? Yeah, dissidents. Enemies of the state, right? It's going to be people like you and me, like so many others. And now, you're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. That's the bottom line truth here. I'm just your basic, loudmouth law enforcement officer, border patrol agent. But those beds, I think, are going to be held for, re-education, which that's already been bandied out there, right? All those MAGA.
Hillary Clinton came right out and said it. Don't forget,
Correct.
Hillary Clinton came right out and said it.
Correct.
They need to be re-educated. They need to be indoctrinated.
Think about this for a second. Name one institution in America, right? Name one institution in America that has not been completely changed for who knows by illegal immigration, whether it's our economics, whether it's, Social Security, welfare, food stamps, all those programs. Schooling has been changed. Medicine has been changed. Big tech and big companies, big pharma, all catering to the illegal. But here's the best part, I guess the more poignant part is that our politics are being changed.
They're already running for office.
Republican and Democrat both seem to be catering to the illegal alien because they know that the future, is with the illegals. Illegal immigration right now is one of the fastest growing and most lucrative cottage industries in this country right now. You got people that are retiring from government and starting contracts, right? Retired CBP, DHS, you name it. Contracts to feed, to clothe, to secure, to transport, to whatever it is, illegal aliens, because right now this administration is the administration that pays millions of dollars in contracts, right? And people are making money hand over fist. Now, back in the last census, there was 4 to 6 states that switched their electoral in favor of the Democrats because they had to count all the heads, right? Not just citizens, all the heads. What's going to happen in the next census, 2031, when they add those extra 50 million illegals into the mix? How do you think our electoral college is going to go then? So that's how they maintain and control power almost indefinitely. And we've seen it in California, like you said.
This is a retired Border Patrol agent telling us this. You said a number that shocked me because I've been saying 20 million. You're saying 50 million.
Yes. Would you like
in
to know?
A nation that's only got allegedly 333 million.
Right.
These are new people. It's like, that's a number that would encompass the total population of probably 10 different states already, at least.
Let me tell you how that works well, go ahead.
Well, I was going to ask you this because I've said this before, and I have people, and I hear my own conservative media people saying this crap. Well, the Border Patrol agents and the FBI, the DOD, the DOJ, there's good agents there. It's not the agents, it's the people running it, and so on and so forth. And I'm like, you're high. You're completely wrong. Tell me what you think about what I'm about to say. They got rid of the good people when they started forcing people to take shots. And I know because I serve in the military, I can't even talk about in what respect or regard now because of this show, but I do. And I know friends who lost everything, many of them in the military, dishonorably discharged, which means they lost everything, all their retirement and everything, because they disobeyed a direct order because they didn't want to put that poison into their body. They made that choice. Well, they're not the only ones. Border Patrol, law enforcement, all the DOJ, same thing. Many of those good agents that I hear Sean Hannity and people like that always going on and on about, they're gone. They were removed, and they've been replaced by people who are going to be on board and do what the Borg says. That's that. And the same applies to the Border Patrol, doesn't it?
Well, that's the biggest slap in the face, isn't it, to our military, is that they got dishonorably discharged, federal agents got fired, and yet you're letting all these illegals come in unvaccinated,
not even tested.
Not even tested, unvaccinated. That boggles the mind that we would even sit for that. But to your point, the Border Patrol started out with 23,000 agents. By Congress. That's a congressional number that has to be maintained by Congress. Okay. Now think about it this way. New York needs 37,000 cops to manage just the law in New York. And we have 23,000 agents trying to manage the border in the entire country. So there's that.
Both north and south.
North and south.
Canadian border too.
And record numbers on both sides. The northern border has seen more in the last 3 years than they have in the last 11 years put together. The southern border has seen more in the last 3 years than in the entire history of this country. Okay? We're not talking about just, this administration. We're talking about in the history of America. So right now, the number of Border Patrol agents we have, because literally almost a fourth of them has retired. They retire as quickly as they can. We're down to 15,000. Now they keep saying, well, we're going to get you more Border Patrol agents. But guess what happened? They reduced the budget accordingly because they know everybody that works there knows they can't even keep up with the attrition.
And you do not even now will not even be considered for hire unless you agree to take that frickin' shot.
Well, that's the thing about it is that
that hasn't ended.
That hasn't ended. Right? Well, I don't know. I didn't know about that. I didn't know. I haven't heard much about that. So if that's the truth,
in the state of California, you can't get a state government job or a lot of county jobs unless you take that shot or can show proof that you've taken it.
Okay. But the thing about it is, like you said, they are replacing enforcement-minded agents with now processing agents. And if this administration gets elected again, the Border Patrol, right, we just celebrated our 100th anniversary. Our 100th anniversary will become an asylum processing agency. And enforcement will be out the window because right now, even now as we speak, 80% of the southern border is unmanned and unsecured and controlled not just by Mexican cartels, okay? Because we think really small. We think, it's the Mexican cartel. No, they're being controlled by world cartels. Because one of the dirty little secrets about this entire illegal immigration problem is that, first of all, it is a national security issue, first of all. And second of all, we have facilitated the greatest trafficking and smuggling of men, women, and children, babies, to the sex trade in this country than ever before. DHS CBP has delivered more babies and women and children to sex mills and labor mills in this country than ever before in the history of America. And that we should be ashamed of ourselves.
The left is so consumed with power, and the best way to usher in your new world order is to take out the United States of America. We're the only thing standing in the way right now.
Replace us all third world illegals that don't care about America, about anything that we believe in.
Exactly right. Are they going to take up arms and stand for this United States of America and the U.S. Constitution? Even if they serve in the military, are they going to? That's not where their allegiance is, and probably never will be, because they're being taught and spoon-fed that this is a wicked nation, racist, slavery, slave owners, blah blah blah.
Right.
This nation, I'm telling you, brother.
But you know what, Charlie? The thing about it is that look at the machine, how well oiled it is. Somehow they managed to put in professors in our greatest institutions in this country, educational institutions. And for the last decade or two, they've been convincing our youth that Hamas is the good guy and that Israel is the monster, the terrorist. Think about that for a moment. And I believe that October 7th or October 6th was a rallying cry. It was to activate the agents in this country that now, along with a lot of our elected officials, that want to support Palestine and eradicate Israel. And that's literally what it is. You want to ham-ha, you want to whatever you want to say, but that's really the goal. And so now when, if civil war comes again to America, which if you know your history, nobody wants that. It was one of the worst horrific chapters of this country. So nobody wants that, but we're going to be facing down these, at least the good thing is that, we can shoot while they're trying to figure out which bathroom to use.
Well, let's explore that. I like to try and think about worst case scenarios, and a lot of people are depressed about that, and they don't want to hear it. But let's talk about it
Okay.
because we are. This is unsustainable. The state of California is billions of dollars in debt,
Yes.
and the nation is teetering on financial collapse. And as California goes, so goes the rest of the country. And once this state financially collapses and it spreads, and next thing we know, we've got forget 2008. Forget 1929. This is going to be a depression unlike anything that this nation's ever seen, and it's going to spread to the world, which is already teetering on collapse. This is I okay, let me say this is worst case scenario.
Okay.
I'm not saying that this is going to happen regardless. I mean, we do know that God's will be done on earth as it is in heaven.
Agreed.
And there is going to be a massive change, but the United States of America, as blessed and as divinely inspired by the creator himself, I fully believe that has a chance to, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and confess their sins and ask for forgiveness, I will hear them and I will heal their land. The United States of America has a Bill of Rights, has the United States Constitution, has several documents in place and supposed to be laws of the land, which will protect the United States of America from the bedlam that's happening in the rest of the world. But we have very wicked people who want to see us collapse. So we have got to take seriously our responsibility to vote. And a third of the state of California claims to be Christian, yet only about 40% of them, Gil, are even registered to vote.
Yeah.
Just the Christians coming together and taking seriously their responsibility and their civic duty in voting
Yeah.
could turn this state around in amazing ways. But let's think about this. There's financial collapse. The freebies dry up. I say 20 million, you're saying 50 million illegal aliens in this nation now. What are they going to do when all the freebies go away? How do you think they're going to react?
Right. Right. Exactly right. And two things I want to say to that. Number one, look at Virginia just recently had to go through and they declared a law. They had to purge 6,000 illegals from their voting registration. Right. Then 80,000 people that were either dead or no longer even in the state anymore. So you can imagine what that's going to be like, right? These elections. I mean, I don't even know how we think we have a safe election. That's one thing. But I want to go to your point about America being, right, chosen by God and blessed. In the Old Testament, almost every single prophet that spoke about rebellion, about acting against God's laws, were all God's people, right? The prophets were speaking to God's people. Why should we get a pass then when we act evil as well? I believe that America was instituted with Christian values and Judeo-Christian principles, but why would America get a pass if we act evil as well? I'm not saying that we get eradicated, and I'm not saying no, but I still think that we may be seeing some dark times ahead, and we're not necessarily going to get spared if we don't fight. In other words, we can't just sit by and hope we either get raptured up before the worst happens or we get taken out. And if this generation lasts another 100 years or another 200-300 years or another 1,000 years, what are we leaving for our kids except nothing but destruction and, bedlam, right? Bedlam. So we have to really it's not enough that, God is on our side because everybody says that. We got to be on God's side, or else
Yes.
why would we be spared any more than God's people were spared in the Old Testament?
We wouldn't be. We won't be. We're not.
No. And that's that idea that we're kind of so special and that all prophecy revolves around the United States when we're only been in existence 200 years. The gospel's been on this planet 2,000 years. And you're telling me that we're the linchpin of all prophecy? I have a little hard time with that, And I'm not, yes, and we are blessed. And we're a nation Just like Israel was a nation that was supposed to be a light unto the world. This is how you live for God. This is how a theocracy works. It was the same for us. But I also believe if we step away from that, just like Israel did many times in the Old Testament, I mean, over and over and over and over again, right? Why would we be spared any kind of, I mean, we may have to see some serious cataclysms before, when it's all said and done. And we talked about this, right? I don't like wearing this because sometimes I feel people use it too lightly. That's when people say, well, this guy looks like Hitler. If you say that, you don't know what Hitler really was.
No.
Because you're right. You're making it too light. But if this administration gets elected again, and I think we're headed straight for that. If we see these people come in, because their idea, and again, we've seen what they've done with every Democrat-led, Tim Walz in Minnesota, destroyed. I don't know what the word progressive used to mean, something positive, right? We progress, we get better. But to these guys, progressive means destruction.
Wow.
I'm not take blood pressure meds because of you now.
I've had it. I'm just livid, and my own fellow Christians say, "Oh, Charlie, you're supposed to love your enemies, and pray for them." Well, no, they're right. They're right. Yeah. But you know what else we're supposed to do? We're supposed to pray against evil. Ephesians 5:11. Be no part of the works of darkness, but instead even expose them.
Yes.
We're supposed to pray against evil. So I'll pray for their salvation. I'll pray that the Lord turns their hearts to him and to his son and the salvation through Christ Jesus. I pray for that, but I also pray that the Lord stops them. If they don't turn from their wicked ways, I pray that he will bring them down. And I think we better fervently be praying now, or son, there's not going to be a United States of America come November 5th.
But Charlie, what if we're the ones that's supposed to do it? Now, can I shock you a little?
I do.
Can I shock you a little bit? Now,
any more than you have already?
Well, it gets worse.
It gets worse. Great.
Now, the view of the end times, right, in Revelation, traditionally has four different views. There's a historical view where they believe that throughout history, parts of Revelation have been fulfilled. There's the spiritual view, which spiritualizes the whole thing, and it's just a spiritual battle that we face, right? We war in the heavenlies. There is the future dispensational view, which most people hold to, right? That the world's going to go to hell in a handbasket. The church is going to get raptured. And then God's going to deal with Israel through that whole 7-year tribulation and everything, Antichrist and all those kind of things. I come from the fourth view, which is called an Orthodox preterist view. And have you ever heard of that?
No.
Okay, a lot of people haven't. And it's the view that was held by the church up until just 200 years ago, when nobody believed in a rapture, nobody believed in those things. Now, I gladly and happily will debate and disagree with my Christian brothers and sisters, because all these views are acceptable within Orthodoxy. But I feel like so many of us, Charlie, are waiting just to get beamed up, Scotty, and not have to worry. If you think the house is going to burn, why would you bother painting it? Why would you bother repairing it or fixing it? And I feel like too many Christians are just looking around going, hey, you know what? Let it get worse, because we get raptured, and then the world gets to deal, gets to feel the full brunt of it. I happen to be of a belief that none of that stuff's going to happen, that Revelation was an actual historic event in AD 70 that was talking about the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple. Not to get too much in the weeds and everything, it's biblically okay to believe either one and still, break bread together. But I'm not a person that thinks that we're going to get delivered through some kind of magical rapture, and then we're going to be eating cheeseburgers in heaven while we see the world go to hell in a handbasket. So I feel a responsibility now to take care of business until the Lord returns. And for me, there's no timeline for the Lord coming back. It's literally can happen any second, any minute, any hour, any day. There's nothing to be fulfilled. We're in an age of grace. That's my approach. So to me, fighting for what's right, fighting to maintain goodness and righteousness and the law of the land so that my sons and my grandchildren can enjoy what I've been able to enjoy from this country. I'm a Mexican. Okay, I have no allegiance to a Mexican flag. I have no allegiance to Mexico. Mexico gave me nothing except my heritage. And okay, thank you. But America and its principles gave me my family, my career, my home, my work, my job in the Marine Corps, my job in the Border Patrol. Everything I have was because this country gave me the opportunity. So I owe no allegiance anywhere else. And so I feel an obligation to try to leave that for my kids.
Let me side with you on that and say that I agree. I'm not quite so sure about the whole historical thing because Jesus did clearly say this is going to happen to Jerusalem when Rome finally, just takes over. But then there will be, and that's what I'm looking for. But I will say this to my fellow believers, our fellow believers who think they're going to get all raptured up before things get bad. You haven't read Revelation. I challenge you to actually read the book of Revelation and don't be afraid of it. It's there to encourage, actually, to make you prepared and to make you realize, I got to get right with the Lord. Read the book of Revelation because nowhere in there do I see any promise that we're going to be taken up before things get bad.
So we might be more than I thought.
We're going to be around when the beast becomes apparent, when the Antichrist becomes apparent. And you see that if you actually read the book of Revelation and not just buy into this whole, it's a pre-trib thing. And so that's good. I don't have to worry about anything. I'll be taken away before it all gets really bad. You're kidding yourself. Read the book of Revelation. I challenge you to do that. Please do that.
Well, you said you want to talk politics and religion, baby. I'm here for you.
That's what I do, buddy. That's what I do. Did you actually grow up in California?
No. I was born and raised in a town called Douglas, Arizona, right next to the border there of Agua Prieta, Sonora. And so when I was 17, I joined the Marine Corps. My mama slapped me in the face, and as soon as I was of age, I'm off and gone. And I came to California to go to boot camp in MCRD, where all real Marines go. Sand fleas don't make you a better Marine. I'm sorry. And I met my wife, and I've been here ever since.
Oh, that's funny. So you weren't stationed at Camp Hollywood, huh?
Oh no, I was stationed in Camp Pendleton, and then I spent some time in Okinawa, and in the Philippines, and still waiting for that knock on my door, waiting to see some child that got up there, but that's a whole other story. But joining the Marine Corps got me out of Douglas. Okay, Christ got me out of my horrific life of sin and just selfishness and self-centeredness. And then the Border Patrol came along, and it is the best job I ever had, let me tell you. And we used to love going out there, Charlie, and just, you go in, you meet for 10 minutes, you get your security brief, you pick up your guns, you pick up your ride, and you just go out, and that piece of land for that night, however long it was, belonged to you. And you made sure that you either stopped what was crossing there, or you made sure you knew who had, how many had crossed. That's why gotaways it's so funny when they give us exact numbers of gotaways, because we used to have the boots on the ground to say, okay, there was a group that crossed here. 24 hours a day, we'd call in cuts or sign cutting, which means just checking the ground for footprints. Now they have no mechanism. The border is pretty much abandoned. And you're trying to tell me, and that's where we get to that 50 million number, right? For decades, we've been told, we've had 12 million illegals in the United States. Decades we've been told. And then they upped it to 22 million. Well, for another decade, it's been 22 million. But now with this administration, and by the way, right, they're doing their victory lap saying that they now reduced the numbers of illegal crossings down to Trump era levels, which is a nod to Donald Trump, whether they like it or not, right? Because Donald Trump did give us, before this administration, the most secure border in 80 years, right? They took out every executive order, 94 executive orders. Okay, so the most secure border in 80 years. So that's the thing, right? They've not, the numbers are down on the border, absolutely, but they don't tell you that Biden has been flying in 100,000 a month. That every program legal, there's no such thing as illegal immigration to this administration. Every legal program has been expanded to bursting to allow as many people in as possible. And the CBP One app not only allows people from all over the world to apply and then just fly into America all day long, hundreds of thousands a month. Okay, but the few people we do deport come back through the CBP One app. So literally, no one gets ultimately deported. Nobody.
Right. It's not sustainable. It's got to end. I love what you're doing with take our border back. Please don't stop. You're getting like-minded people to come together and actually have a presence on the border. Our own National Guard that Governor Hairdo brags about sending some troops down there. What are they carrying in their guns, by the way? What's actually in their guns, Gil?
Well, I don't know, because they're not allowed to use them, and they're not allowed to do any kind of enforcement whatsoever. The best they're able to do is basically, guard people that are already locked up, right? Every now and then help transport. And I'm not saying that they don't alleviate a little bit of the work, but that still is not sending Border Patrol agents out into the field.
It's all just politics. There's not even bullets in their guns, is what I've heard. There's not even bullets in their guns. And they're immediately put to work processing. They're filling out paperwork. Our own National Guard is filling out paperwork at the borders.
Yeah, they're not there because there's no enforcement involved. And that brings me to another point. And I don't know how much time we have left, but these border bills that they just tried to pass.
Yeah.
Right. The biggest thing I get is from Democrats is, you complain and you're putting this information out, but, it's the Republicans' fault because they didn't, work with this administration to pass these border bills. Nothing in those border bills would have even slowed down the number of illegals coming into this country. In fact, what it would have done is permanently codify every pathway that they've created, imaginary or real, right, to keep the flow coming in. Well, then we get told, well, when we reach 5,000, oh no, when we reach 2,500, then we'll shut it down. Well, for how long? Which is ridiculous, right? They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. But the bottom line is there was no enforcement, no stopping whatsoever. We shouldn't have to let one come in illegally. Back in May of 2020, we had 20,000 illegal aliens come into this country. May of 2020, how many do you think were released into the country? Zero.
Oh,
Zero.
in May of 2020.
Yeah, May of 2020. Mm-hmm. Now, fast forward to May of 2024. How many do you think are getting released into the country? Pretty much all of them. Pretty much all of them.
They're being processed, and they're given fake names and fake families and children. And they have their assignment once they get into the country where they're going to go for their sex trafficking or whatever it is. This is out of control. This is beyond out of control.
Yeah. And Border Patrol agents and DHS employees are numb. They are just numb at this point because they've been abandoned by this administration. They've been, almost all the brass that's running DHS CBP is pretty much complicit with this administration. Alejandro Mayorkas is just, and I actually have people defend him to me, and even Brandon Judd, who used to run the Border Patrol union, came out on Fox News and said that Alejandro Mayorkas is trying to do the right thing, but this administration won't let him. I'm telling you, it was shocking. So our agents have literally no place to go. No place to go. Even the brass at different sectors and different stations are just like file after file after file after file after process them, get it out of here. That they're releasing these animals, these illegal alien savages into the country that are raping our women, molesting our children.
Donald Trump says that not just Central and South American countries, but other countries are literally emptying out their prisons and their insane asylums and taking them to the border and saying, go that way and don't come back, because if you do, it'll be worse for you. Go that way. They're emptying out their prisons and their insane asylums. Donald Trump keeps saying that. Is he right?
Absolutely 100%. And the case point is Venezuela. So Venezuela is enjoying the safest time of crime in their country in the last 25 years. Why? Because they have literally sent every criminal and insane person. They emptied out their prisons and their asylums to America. And then get this, Charlie, it gets better, because the president of Venezuela decides who we get to send back. So like just last week, he said, you're not sending anybody back to Venezuela. And then he actually screens who comes back. So they're dictating to us. So yes, Venezuela, and I'm sure other South American countries, are enjoying more safety in their countries because our country, our DHS, CBP, which by the way was created after 9/11 to protect the homeland and secure our borders, and the leader, the main man, Alejandro Mayorkas, who, by the way, can't even bother to remember Rachel Morin's name in an interview when he was being interviewed. Couldn't remember her name. All right. He doesn't remember because he doesn't care. OK, this man has just releases everybody willy-nilly, no holds barred. And then if they commit a crime, once they commit a crime, then maybe he'll go get them. And how's that working out for us?
The piece of crap governor of Arizona is not on board with what Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, is doing, and Ron DeSantis from Florida as well. And that is taking these illegals that are being dumped into their towns and shipping them all over the nations to these blue cities that are supposed to be sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. And I think that it's been a brilliant move because it has forced them to face and address what is going on in the southern borders of our nation. Do you think it's been effective, or do you think it's just not working?
It's a catch-22, okay? Because on the one hand, yes, it's now all these sanctuary cities, once they have to do sanctuary stuff, are screaming bloody murder, right? I need more, you need more money. They're not talking about enforcement. They don't want it stopped. They simply want more money to take care of it, right? To take care of it. And at the same time, we're still glutting our country with, countless illegals that have overtaxed our medicine, overtaxed our all our social services. Our vets, they'll throw our vets out on the street to house these illegal aliens, right? And now someone like Rachel Morin, who gets up, decides to take a run, now we got these animals lying in wait. And the worst part, Charlie, is that these South American cartels and worldwide cartels, Ukrainian, Russian, everything else, are openly beating and robbing and breaking into our homes. They have these systems of people go on vacation. They go in there and ransack their houses, and they don't even have to hide it anymore because all they got to do is go to a sanctuary city. The cops can't report them to ICE or DHS or CBP because, they're in a sanctuary city. So it's just mind boggling.
And people aren't rising up against it because the media is not reporting on it.
Well, and that's another thing, right? So the media reports none of this. And that's what I'm telling you. Besides the 20 to 25 million that are coming in by all these measures, you still got this astronomical number of gotaways. And the way I explained it before, right? If 55 to 60% of the people going to the NGOs, they basically are just cartels. And all taxpayer funded, by the way, right? We're the taxpayer. I call this the greatest and deadly.
FEMA is one of the big ones, giving money to these NGOs, which are non-governmental organizations. One of the biggest ones is the Catholic Church.
The Catholic Charity, absolutely, right? So 60% of that are going to these guys aren't even reporting to the Border Patrol, reporting to a port of entry, reporting to CBP or DHS. So again, the ones that are coming inside our sight unseen are 2 to 3 times that much. So 50 million is not a hard number to come to when it comes to figuring out, what's going on. And that's the thing. These charities that supposedly funded, and like I said, I call it the greatest and deadliest taxpayer-funded illegal immigration event and border security breach in the history of America. Because we're no longer just talking, Charlie, illegal immigration. We're talking national security.
Yeah. And it's all to change the voter rolls, period. That's what Obama was doing it from the very beginning, was to get illegals in here, because he knows they're not undocumented workers. They're undocumented Democrats, because they're coming from socialist countries, and that's what they believe. Government will take care of me from cradle to grave, make those rich people pay.
But
You and I are considered rich people, by the way.
I know that, but see, now we have a generation of youngsters that feels the same way. If I get a loan to go to college, you're going to have to pay for it now, right? If I step in as just entry level in this corporation, you better pay me like a CEO, because that's just not fair. It is mind-boggling.
Let me ask you one last question. Donald Trump says that if he's elected, and I pray that he is, that he will deport them all. Do you think so?
Well, here's what I think. Even if Donald Trump gets elected and comes in both guns blazing, the issues that we're going to have to deal with it's going to take a decade. So that's one thing. If he can turn all these 5 million beds and processing centers across the board into deportation centers, then let me tell you, me, along with a lot of other retired Border Patrol agents, will gladly go in there and process these SOBs right out of the country. So is it possible? Yeah, I do believe it's possible. Got to have the will to do it, though.
And here's why I think it won't happen. The first time the news will immediately jump on some poor woman having her child taken out of her arms as she's being deported, and they'll show all of this. Oh, this is horrible. Look what they're doing to these poor innocent people. They're not poor innocent people. They knew they were coming over here illegally. If just nothing else, that alone, they broke the law to get in here, and they know it. And again, when things collapse financially and their freebies dry up, are you going to feel all that generous towards them as the marauders are coming in and decimating your neighborhood and taking everything that you have, and maybe even your life, or the life of your family or your animals? That's what I see. That's what I see. If something drastic isn't done right now, and we don't have right now, how far away is that November election? And then after that, he's not even sworn in until the 1st of January. Right. What the heck? That's a lot of time to just absolutely release bedlam, confusion, and there's your civil war.
Well,
we will be taking up arms when they're coming onto our property, trying to steal, kill, and destroy everything that we have just to feed themselves.
Well, the cure is going to be worse than the disease, and it's going to take an iron will to even get this thing started, right? Just to even get this thing started, if they decide to do it, right? And that's the thing that, again, they call it a humanitarian. This is a humanitarian crisis, but this has been from even the Trump times, right? Because I dealt with caravans during Trump's time, and that's why he had to put those rules in place. And these people didn't just wake up one day and thought, well, you know what, if we storm the United States border, we'll get in home free. And it's been ginned up by these liberal organizations, by political organizations. They first wanted to disrupt Trump's presidency, but he pulled a fast one on them and put, staying in place, all these other, executive orders that allowed us to control it. And even when they found out Trump was elected, that was enough to slow down the process right now at that point.
And that the wall that's up has been very effective. Imagine if he could have actually completed the wall before he left office and before they tried to destroy all of it. And they've left huge gaps. It was all paid for. Everything was ready to go. All those materials rotting away in the desert that were all there ready to finish that wall. We came so close. There were only about 500 miles left, I think, is all it was.
Well, the thing about it is too, and the thing about, people are, walls don't work, and it's like, they work at your house, right?
Yeah, and I'll never forget the Pope getting all indignant and self-righteous about us and talking about walls. I'm like, what do you live behind at the Vatican?
At the Vatican, yes. And, nobody's allowed to go in there willy-nilly or just crawl across the, climb the wall or whatever. But that's the thing. If you leave your house deserted, it doesn't matter how many walls or no walls or doors or locks you have. Once people find out it's deserted, they're going to break in. The wall was meant to be a tool to help the agents control the southern border. And it wasn't just going to be just a bunch of, steel and metal and concrete. It was going to have technology interwoven into it, where we would have had sensors, we would have had cameras, we could have taken, really done to secure it. And even now, Charlie, if you activate the Border Patrol to do the job they were created to do 100 years ago, we can shut down this border in 2 weeks. We can shut the spigot down in 2 weeks, but that's not the goal here. Solutions are not the goal. It's keeping that doors wide open as much as possible and still pretending, because I'm even told right now that, Biden and Kamala have secured the border, right? They've lowered all the entries while they're sneaking them in the back door by hundreds of thousands every month.
Right. It's insane. It's not sustainable. So, Gil, I am so glad I met you. I want to have you on the show again. We got all kinds of things to talk about. I hope I get to meet you at the statewide Trump train that's happening August 16th and 17th. Go to wethepeopleca.com, wethepeopleca.com. If you want to participate, somebody in some group somewhere, wherever you live in California, has got a group together to join us all in this statewide Trump train, August 16th and 17th. wethepeopleca.com. Now, do you have a podcast or anything? Where can we follow you? How can we get involved with what you're doing, Gil Maza?
Okay, so basically it's real simple. Old Patrol HQ. Find it on X. You can find it on Facebook. You can find it on Instagram. I also have a site called borderwatchdaily.com, and there you're going to get all the up-to-date news. You're going to get all that special intel that I get from the field, straight from the field. borderwatchdaily.com.
Brilliant. Keep fighting the good fight, my friend. It's got to be so discouraging, but man, I'm with you. I'm glad I met you. Thank you.
Likewise, and I'm pumped because we got right now the fight's on more than ever.
Amen. You want to help this show? You can do it through Venmo, venmo.com/do-not-talk. Help this show stay on the air, bringing you people like that who you're never going to see on the NBC Nightly News with Lester Holt. You're not even going to see it on most other conservative podcasters' shows because it's not currently the hot topic that everybody's talking about. It should be. It is with me. So you can help and support venmo.com/do-not-talk. May God bless you and keep you. May God bless America. But most importantly, America bless